Hello, art beaters. This is Becky for Artbeads.com, and I just wanted to say happy Thanksgiving. I know that you probably have maybe a turkey cooking in the oven, but I wanted to show you how to make a different kind of turkey, a beaded turkey. So I'm going to show you how to make this adorable little SuperDuo beaded turkey. He's got SuperDuo turkey tail feathers, and he's made with a brick stitch frame around an 8mm bead, and he even has cute little SuperDuo feet. So this is a great project to do today. It doesn't take too long, about 30 to 40 minutes, and the techniques used are pretty simple. So let's dive in to that. I've got 3 different SuperDuo colors, and SuperDuos are 2 whole beads, and those are the beads that are going to give you that cute little turkey feather look. And you can try different colors too. I used different colors for this turkey, and he turned out really cute as well, so don't be afraid to try different colors. I've also got an 8mm round bead, a 6mm round bead for his head, and 11/0 round seed beads. I'm using Toho 1G beading thread and a size 12 beading needle. And I have my needle threaded onto my thread, and I'm working with about an arm's span length of thread, about 3 feet, and that's going to be plenty of thread for you to make your turkey. So let's get started. I'm going to start with my 8mm round, and what you're going to do is bring your thread through that 8mm round and just pull it all the way down, leaving a little bit of a tail, maybe about 4 to 6 inches, for you to weave into your beads after you're done. And what you're going to do now is bring your needle back up through the bead, kind of making like a stopper bead, and pull that thread through. Now, to make the brick stitch frame of seed beads around this 8mm round, we need a thread on either side circling the bead. So I'm going to bring my thread back up through the bead to make another loop, and I want 2 strands of thread on each side of the bead, just for a little more structure and more to catch on to. So I'm going to loop that around again, and then I'm going to do it again on this side, looping it around and pulling. Get my turkey out of the way here. And once more. So I have 2 strands of thread on either side of that bead, and they might kind of join up, but that's okay. You can easily separate them out. So now I have 2 threads on either side of my 8mm round. Really nice. So now I'm ready to start adding my brick stitch frame. So what you're going to do to add that frame is pick up 2 Toho round 11/0 seed beads. So I've got 2 on my thread, and the brick stitch frame around this bead is very similar to a normal brick stitch. So what you're going to do to start that brick stitch frame is bring your needle through those 2 threads on one side of your bead and pull. And you'll see that the seed beads are starting to kind of line up around that 8mm round. So just bring your needle back up through the second seed bead added on your thread. And pull again. Okay, so you've got your brick stitch frame going, and now you're just going to continue the frame around the bead. So to continue the frame, just pick up 1 seed bead and bring your thread, your needle, through those 2 threads around the bead. Pull and bring your needle back up through the seed bead. And pull. So you're going to continue that around that 8mm round. And this is very similar to how you would normally do brick stitch. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the brick stitch technique, please head to artbeads.com and check out our tutorials. We have great step-by-step photos for brick stitch, videos, and great Artbeads Cafe episodes as well as some PDF diagrams. So make sure to check that out if you've never done brick stitch before. It's a really fun stitch, and this is actually my first time trying a brick stitch around the bead, and I'm thinking that this is going to give me a lot of possibilities for my jewelry designs. So I'm really excited to try this more. So what you're going to do now is just continue that brick stitch all the way around the bead. Alright, so I've just about got my frame all the way done around my 8mm round. I've got room to add one more Toho seed bead. So I'm picking up my bead, bringing that needle under those two threads, and pulling to add that last seed bead in there. And then what I'm going to do to kind of complete this brick stitch frame is bring my needle back through the first seed bead I added to the frame. And coming back up through this seed bead here. Okay, so I've got my brick stitch frame around my 8mm round. Now I am ready to start adding the SuperDuo turkey tail feathers. So let's dive into that. Okay, so to start adding your SuperDuo tail feathers, you're going to want to pick up that darker color SuperDuo to start the first row. So I'm going to pull that on down to my frame. And if you'll notice in my example here, that first SuperDuo in the row is almost flush to this frame. So that's what we want to achieve. So to do that, we're going to want to bring our needle through that second hole. So now we're ready to start adding the other beads in the row. Okay, so this first row is comprised of alternating seed beads and SuperDuos. So just to start, you're just going to do that. Just add your seed bead and then a SuperDuo. And I'm going to choose this orange color for my next SuperDuo. And just continue creating that row on your thread. So SuperDuo, seed bead, and then a SuperDuo. And I'm going to do alternating colors of SuperDuos. So I've got alternating orange and alternating dark red. So another seed bead and then another orange SuperDuo. Another seed bead and then a dark SuperDuo. So this row features 3 orange SuperDuos and 4 dark red SuperDuos. So I'm almost done adding here. That's my third orange. One more seed bead. And a dark red. Okay, so that's going to be our first row. Now to get that row framed around your 8mm round, you kind of have to cinch it up. So what we're going to do is go back down through that second hole of the last SuperDuo added and pull. Okay, and make sure that's all snug down there. And then what we want to do, we want to make sure that this kind of comes around the top half of our 8mm bead. And if it looks a little wiggly now, don't worry. Once you get it all stitched, it will lay a lot better, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm laying this down to see kind of where that fits. And it looks like I'm going to bring my needle down. Let me make sure this is all tight. So I'm going to bring my needle into that adjacent seed bead there. So right here. Bring your needle through that bead and pull. And that's going to kind of start to bring the turkey feathers closer to your little body of the turkey here. Oh, so cute. Really sweet. That's looking really cute. So where I brought my thread back into the beads on the brick stitch frame is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 beads away from where my row started. So that's a good number. That's been the number for the past few turkeys that I've made. So about 9 beads away from the start of the row. Okay, so you can see that this row is still a little bit wiggly. So what we're going to do is make sure that this row is really nicely attached to that brick stitch frame. So I'm going to bring my thread through. Let me flip this over. I'm going to bring my thread through this next seed bead in the row and the next SuperDuo. There we go. And I'm just going to pull that, and my tail is kind of in the way here, so I'm going to probably flip my work over so the tail is to the back. Whoops, whoops. Okay, so I've got my thread coming out of that first seed bead and SuperDuo in the row. I'm going to flip my work over so my tail isn't in my way anymore. And then, so what you're going to kind of do here is similar to our brick stitch technique for the frame. I want you to bring your needle under that row of beads you just created and then catch the thread at the top of the brick stitch frame. So there are like bridges of thread connecting the beads in your brick stitch frame. Bring your needle under the closest bridge of thread to where your needle is exiting and pull. And that's going to cinch up your row to the brick stitch frame. So you can kind of see that's cinching up better. So once you've done that, go through the next seed bead and SuperDuo in the row. And then same thing, you're going to go under that row, catch the thread on the brick stitch frame, and pull. Go through the next seed bead and SuperDuo. Under the row, catching that thread. See that? Catching that thread on the brick stitch frame. Oops, I've dragged my turkeys with my thread. Thread has a good way of catching on everything when you're working, doesn't it? And then back through the next seed bead and SuperDuo in the row. And once again, going under that row, catching the thread on the brick stitch frame. Pulling your thread to cinch it up. Going through the next seed bead and SuperDuo. Whoops. Going through under that row, catching the thread on the brick stitch frame and pulling. And then I'm going to go back through this seed bead here at the end of the row. I can tell I've got my beads nice and close. It's kind of tricky to get between those beads, which is good. That means the stitch is going to look nice and tight. There we go. So bringing your needle through that top hole of the last SuperDuo in your row and pulling. So that has really tightened things up and given that row way more structure. It's looking so cute. I'm really excited about this turkey, so let's keep going on to the next row. So to make the next row, you're going to pick up a seed bead and then another dark SuperDuo. And then you go through this orange SuperDuo in the previous row. So there you go. You've got the first SuperDuo in your next row. And then we're going to add more SuperDuos in this row. So I'm going to use this really pretty kind of shimmery gold color for this row. And this is easy. Just bring your needle through that top hole of the next SuperDuo in the previous row. And I'm going to use that same color gold for the next bead in the row. And just go through the top hole of the next SuperDuo in the previous row. Once again, doing that. Once again with the gold SuperDuo, top hole of the next SuperDuo in the previous row. So easy. And then we're going to add our dark SuperDuo and seed bead to match the beads at the start of this row, going back through this top hole of that SuperDuo in the previous row. So pretty. And I am going to reinforce this last row that I created. That will give it a little more structure. It's always good to reinforce, makes the beads less wiggly. And that'll also give me a good starting point for the next row that we're going to add. So just go through that seed bead and SuperDuo row once again. And I'm going to actually reinforce the row we just made as well. Here we go. And it really does help with the structure of something like this. Through the beads. And I'm going to, when I get to the end of this row, I'm not going to go back through that seed bead we added at the end. I'm just going to go through that last SuperDuo in the row. And this will allow me to nicely step up for the next row. And I'm going to bring my thread through that top hole on that same SuperDuo. But before I do that, actually, I need to add a seed bead so you don't see that thread. I like adding the little seed beads on the end of the row because they just look a little more feathery. So pick up your seed bead first before going through that top hole, just to give it a little more feathery look. We love a turkey with beautiful feathers. Okay, so we're ready to start adding SuperDuos to our next row, and I am going to add a dark one here. I like that the dark SuperDuos are kind of outlining the turkey feather tail. Gives it a nice kind of contrast. And then I think I'm going to do the alternating orange and dark again. And once again, you're just going through that top hole of the next SuperDuo in the previous row. There we go, and I'm going to add a dark SuperDuo for my center tail feather. So pretty. This is looking really beautiful. An orange SuperDuo and a dark SuperDuo to finish the row off. Pretty. And don't forget that we need to add a SuperDuo here, or a seed bead here, to match that seed bead on the end. And that will give you another opportunity to reinforce your rows. So add that seed bead, go back down through the second hole of the last SuperDuo, reinforce that previous row. So just bringing your needle back through the stringing holes in the previous row. And then going back up through that seed bead and reinforcing this last row. And I'm going to stop in the middle of this row to add a seed bead loop to the center tail feather in the last row. And that's going to make it easy to kind of use these turkeys in earrings, necklaces, charm bracelets, whatever. So this is a really cool, I mean, look at how cool this looks. So you could easily keep going with the SuperDuo rows, and you could even, like, turned upside down, this would be a really beautiful fan earring, maybe add a loop up here. But today we are making turkeys. It is turkey day, so let's finish off this cute little turkey. So to add the seed bead loop to that center tail feather, bring your needle through that top stringing hole of the SuperDuo, and then you're just going to add this. All right, so with our thread coming out of that top hole on that center SuperDuo, we're going to add our seed bead loop. So you're just going to use those round seed beads. I'm going to use about 14 seed beads. I found that gave me a nice little loop. You can certainly add more if you need a bigger loop. So let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So you just add those on. And then bring your needle around the other side of that same stringing hole to form the loop. That's a really nice loop. And then you're just going to want to go back through those seed beads to reinforce. So go back through all of the seed beads. That'll strengthen your loop and give it a better shape. The lesson of the day is reinforce. It always helps with the shape of your beaded designs, especially when you're working with SuperDuos, I find. All right, so bring that thread back through that, just that top stringing hole. Don't go back through the seed beads once you've reinforced to your liking. And pull tight, and then you've got a really nice loop. Okay, so the body of our turkey is looking good. So we now want to add the head. So we're gonna go back through our beads, weave back through our beads to get to that center seed bead on the brick stitch frame. So you're just gonna go back down through that second hole and back through the beads, and this is a good opportunity to reinforce that other side of your top row and then weave back down to get to the beads. Alright, so I've woven through my beads to get back to that brick stitch frame, and I'm just kind of gonna go up and down through the seed beads in the brick stitch frame to get over to that center seed bead where I want to attach the head of our turkey. So just go up and down through those beads to make it where you want to be, and that's the center bead there. So I'm just about there. Bring my thread up through that seed bead. All right, so now that I'm coming out of that center seed bead, I'm going to add my 6mm round and a seed bead for his beak. So you're going to bring that down to his body. And then what you're going to do here is bring your needle back through the 6mm bead. So skip the seed bead and bring it back through the 6mm bead. And that'll kind of give that little beak a pop. It'll make it pop out. And then bring your thread back through the center seed bead to reinforce and get that that cute little turkey head on there, nice and tight. I'm gonna go back through the head to reinforce. That's our word of the day. So I'm just gonna come up through that second seed bead over. Up through that seed bead and back down through that center seed bead, and then back up through the head and back through the seed bead that is his beak, and then back down through the 6mm bead. And then, oh, he's so cute. Perfectly on there now. All right, and then the last thing we need to do is add our little SuperDuo feet to the bottom of our turkey. So your thread should be coming out of your brick stitch frame. So you're just gonna go back up and down through the seed beads in the brick stitch frame to work your way down to the bottom of the turkey to add the little SuperDuo feet. So just work your way down. And in my examples, I used the bottom 4 seed beads for the feet. So we're almost there. Okay. Gotta make sure my thread is coming down to add the little feet. Let's see here. Okay, so I've got my thread positioned where I want it. So now I am going to pick up one of these golden SuperDuos. I think that's a good foot color. And then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to come back up through this seed bead here to attach the foot. So he's got a cute little foot there, and then just reinforce that. So going back through that seed bead to the side and back through the SuperDuo to reinforce. So cute. All right, so let's add our second foot. And I've got my thread where I want it. So let's add a SuperDuo. And let's add the foot here. And we're going to reinforce it again. So come back down through the seed bead to the side where you first added. Back through that top hole on the SuperDuo foot. And back up through that seed bead. And you've got your feet added, so there you have the cute little SuperDuo turkey. He is so sweet. All you have to do at this point is weave your threads back in, tighten everything up a little more if you want, and then trim your threads. And so then you can make all kinds of cute things with this little turkey earrings. I've made these earrings here with some cute little hoops. They'd be a cute necklace pendant as well. And like I said earlier, don't be afraid to switch up the colors, because I did make this one with different colors and he turned out super cute. I really like his feather colors, and these seed beads are really pretty. You can find these turkeys at the Artbeads.com design studio. I've got step-by-step instructions there, as well as a supplies list. So make sure that you like this video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment what you're doing for Thanksgiving, or if you plan on beading. Make sure to share with your friends too if they want to make a cute little beaded turkey. It's a really great way to spend the holiday and celebrate. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and then I hope that you start making some cute little turkeys. So thank you for watching, and have a happy Thanksgiving.